There have been many movies and novels about communist oppression in Russia, atrocities in Nazi labor camps, and the sorrow of living in post-war relocation camps. But a Chicopee woman has lived through it all and written a book about her family's extraordinary tale of faith, courage, and love amid the horrors of war. Steve Kiltonic recently spoke with the author, who took him on a journey far east of the sun.
The 1965 movie Dr. Zhivago is a romance and war epic that takes place during the tumultuous Russian Revolution. Based on the novel by Boris Pasternak, it follows the lifelong love affair between Yuri Zhivago, played by Omar Sharif, and Laura Antipova, played by Julie Christie. Chicopee resident Janina Stankiewicz Chung draws comparisons between Dr. Zhivago and her recent novel, Far East of the Sun. Both are set in the heart of Russia, and both are love stories. In Janina's book, the plot revolves around Sasha and Anya, Janina's parents, who recount their own family's experience prior to, during, and after World War II. Janina's family suffered 13 years under communist oppression, survived Nazi labor camps, and the indignity of post-war relocation camps. Unconditional love, unbelievable courage, and unwavering faith sustained them during their darkest days. It's for these reasons that Janina, with no previous writing experience, decided to write a book.
I want the reader to know the importance of family unity and family love, because that's what really, really keeps you together, and you can go through almost anything. But most of all, love of God. You have to have those three.
Janina's story begins in 1938 with her birth in the frigid, snowy Belarus wilderness. Her parents, who married in 1928, were polar opposites.
And my mother was more reserved and quiet, strong, whereas my father was full of laughter at all times, full of song. My father was a strong, strong believer in God. My mother, same thing. She believed in Holy Mother. They held on to their religion. They had to. They had to hold on to their religion. They never wavered. And they instilled it in us.
Sasha and Anya's first years together were peaceful and full of happiness. As the first of 11 children, a boy, Nikolai, was born. They lived with Sasha's 9 siblings and parents, who were landowners with orchards, beehives, and cattle. But their idyllic life was shattered by the communist Bolsheviks.
One night, galloped into the yard and butchered the cattle, burned the orchards, burned the beehives.
2 of Sasha's brothers were killed. Both of his sisters' families were sent to Siberia. Janina's family lived a few years in a kolkhozy, or communist war compound. Despising the communists, Sasha went in hiding, helping Catholic priests escape across the Polish border. But someone turned him in. Labeled a traitor, he was told he was being deported to Siberia.
Siberia at that time was really a death sentence. When somebody mentioned Siberia, people were horrified of it.
Janina was 3 months old when her father left, sentenced to 10 years hard labor in a gulag.
To my knowledge, no one really has escaped Siberia and make it across the wilderness of it.
Sasha befriended a farmer and convinced him to help him escape in his wagon. Belarus was nearly 3,000 miles away.
On foot he set out. Wild animals, cold, hunger. He jumped trains. He begged for rides from farmers. And finally, he made it to Belarus.
It had been 2 years since they departed, and at first Sasha was mistaken for a beggar by Anya.
But then he looked up at her and said, "Don't you know me? It's me." And she just fell into his arms.
In 1944, the Nazis were looking for people to work in their slave labor camps. Captured by the Nazis, Sasha and his family were sent by train to a destination unknown.
We were loaded into those trains, kettle boxcars, and standing room only. There was no sitting down, so children, women, men.
After 2 weeks, they got off at a sinister-looking building. Everyone was told to strip before entering a room.
My father put his arms around all of us and said, Children, if you hear something hissing, just breathe deeply. Just breathe deeply, and we'll be together. We'll always be together. And we stood there and waited. And then the hissing sound came. But we felt the water, lukewarm water, on us. It was not a gas chamber, it was just a shower.
In that first labor camp, Sasha buried trucks full of dead German civilians. They were moved to another camp where grenades were made. Janina's 10-year-old sister also worked 12-hour days. Sasha convinced the German commander that the workers needed their faith to be productive.
And so my father found a table. There was a person with a crucifix. Every Sunday, during those 3 months, he held the service for people. He was the priest.
After the war, Janina's family spent 7 years in 11 displaced person camps in Germany, which were run by the American Red Cross. As a result of a resettlement program, the family emigrated to the U.S. in 1951. A Polish family in Holyoke sponsored them, and they lived on the 5th floor of an apartment building. They became parishioners of Mater Dolorosa. Janina spent her middle school years at its school. Today, she regularly attends Mass with her daughter Kathy, one of 4 children. Janina is in the midst of a book tour which recently took her to Blessed Sacrament in Westfield. She was introduced by her daughter-in-law, Diane Moreno. Janina plans on writing a follow-up book based on her own life. A movie script for Far East of the Sun is in the works.
I see it as Dr. Zhivago movie. I really do.
She thinks Kevin Costner and Demi Moore would be great in the lead roles. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
Sounds like it would make a great film, and if you would like to purchase a copy of Far East of the Sun, you can log on to our website, iobserve.org, for a link to the book.